My name is Ben Kahler. I was born on November 17th, 1997. I'm from about 45 minutes away from here, 45 minutes north from Everett, Michigan. I live a little bit out of the city limits. Grew up in the woods, kind of like Danny did. So I'm definitely rural, and it's been really nice coming here and being able to stay kind of rural out in the woods. So I'm a third-term apprentice. I'm currently working on building an archtop for NAMM show, and also just helping students on a day-to-day basis, helping with any problems they might have, checking general things like dry runs that everybody has to do, and processing materials to make sure that the class runs smoothly. What led me here was that part of it, I'm so close to Gallup. So again, I'm only 45 minutes away from here, and I've been a musician since I was about 12 or 13. It's really into playing the guitar, practicing many hours a day, and it just seemed kind of like a logical decision because my dad is a woodworker. He built our house, and it was something that was kind of in the cards already. And just kind of springboarding off of that, I thought it would be a good choice to come here, do the 6-month program, kind of get my feet wet, and if I didn't like it, it was only 6 months. It'd be a great life experience, and then I could move on to go do whatever I want to do. But as a matter of fact, I do love building guitars. After I went through the course, I was asked to stay as an apprentice, and I'm really loving it so far. My original interest was in electric guitars, so I kind of came in like a lot of people do. They want to build electric guitars. They're really into amplifiers and pickups, and like you mentioned before, I think it's part of like the maturing process and learning that there is more beyond just electric guitar plugged into an amplifier. So about halfway through this course, I decided found out that I was really interested in archtops, and it's what I'm currently planning on building. I'm kind of currently in the modern school of things, so some of our graduates like Tyler Wells and Megan Wells are builders that I'm really interested in, just because they're taking traditional designs and traditional acoustics that were laid out fundamentally like in the 40s and 50s and taking them to a more modern area. I'm really interested in kind of delving into the acoustics of archtops and trying to design something that will help push the archtop, since a lot of archtops are so big, towards something that's a little more ergonomic, but will still retain some of the acoustic fundamentals that were laid out by D'Angelico, and kind of give a nod to Benedetto. Benedetto's kind of straddling like that line between modern and sort of a more old school building style. So I would say the carving portion of it. It's just so satisfying to be able to take, as Christian was mentioning before, something that's this thick and shaving it down to something that's only about that thick. Just taking a gouge or a hand plane, basically making something with your own two hands that was taken out of a tree at 1 or 2 inches thick and turning it into something that's actually acoustically sound. It'll actually make a musical instrument. One of the things I'm really interested in is hands-on work, using a lot of traditional tools such as hand planes, and I am interested in studying some violin building techniques, some of the older techniques that were used centuries ago, to be able to maybe draw some of that influence into archtop building, which I'm sure many builders have explored, but I'm just not aware of. So I want to at least bring that into my building, just try to push things as far as I can. Technology such as CNC is great as far as being able to put out a certain number of guitars, like being able to become a production builder in a sense, and having longevity in this career, because you look at builders such as Benedetto who have been doing these for decades, their hands are crippled. So being able to use the CNC to take out some of the heavy lifting in a sense, as well as being able to take several thousands off consistently off of a carve, and being able to be more consistent as far as your building techniques go is something that I'm very interested in. It's something that I hope that I can maybe work with Tom and learn a little bit more about, and maybe eventually one day use that in one of my builds. One of the things that I found fascinating upon coming here is, again, I grew up in such a rural area. I was pretty much, like, I'd say a good 15 minutes away from the nearest gas station. So meeting people from different countries, like not just from one country, but several different countries, and being in a school with such a diverse group of people has been very interesting. Like in my my student term, we had people from California, we had somebody from South Africa, from Australia, just such a diverse background. So it's been a really interesting process, just learning what's kind of common between different people, and that we're all sort of interested in the same thing. It isn't just confined to the US, it's a common thing among different countries that we're all interested in basically the same thing. So it's been a really interesting process for me. I would say that no matter what area you come from, whether it's a very musical background, if you're a player beforehand, or if you're like some of the students that we've had before who have been apprentices before in different shops but wanted to come here, or people that have built many guitars before, it's a really great place to be able to come and solidify your skills. The course here is so well-rounded, and it's been redefined and refined over many years. So pretty much anything that isn't ideal as far as building goes has pretty much been snuffed out of the program. So being able to come here and refine everything it's a really great opportunity for really anybody. Going back to what some of the other apprentices have said, it's a great way of being able to develop a good work ethic if you don't already have one. You make sure that you show up every day on time and just put in the work. If you don't put in the work, you're not going to get anywhere. So being able to do that is really the key to any sort of success in any area. So it's a really great way of just pretty much getting your life together if you don't, if you haven't already. So one thing about guitar building, lutherie in general, is that it is such amalgam of pretty much everything. Like when it comes to finish, you need to have like not in-depth chemistry, but you need to know how different chemicals are going to react with one another. If you put a water-based finish over an oil-based finish, it's not going to work. Very bad things are going to happen. You need to know a little bit about engineering, and that, I would say this school excels in that as far as developing really high-end instruments, very good sounding instruments. There's just so many different things that go into building a guitar that most people don't even realize. So I would say out of really anything I've done before, this is such a well-rounded sort of experience that you need to have such a wide knowledge base to be able to do this on a high level. When I first came here, I barely even knew how to use a chisel, and now I'm using hand planes and gouges and chisels in a way that I didn't think I was capable of doing. And coming from music background and growing up so rurally, I pretty much taught myself how to play guitar and, you know, music theory, all those sorts of things, and I know how hard it can be to actually create a solid base, like solid knowledge base for yourself in any sort of field. So being able to come here and build a solid foundation as far as knowledge goes, as far as skills go, I think that's one of the most important things. And coming from that standpoint, like the first term guitars that most people are coming in with very little experience. They come and build those guitars, and us looking at them, there's mistakes, there's dips in the finish, there's nicks here and there, there's sanding scratches, and we notice those things. But you go to guitar stores anywhere, you look at guitars that the owner was building in the back, and you see all these things that are red flags to us that nobody ever notices except for us, and being able to have that high standard, knowing what something is supposed to be able to reach your peak as a builder is a really important thing. All right, bye.
Fantastic, that was a good one. Well, thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.